Something that I've realized about the state of childhood is that not only is it important to remember what it's like to be a child, but it's also necessary for our survival in a big way. Childhood is a state and it's a time in our lives that sets the foundation for everything that is to come in adulthood. And I feel like sometimes we make a mistake in believing that childhood is like a phase. You know, it's just like something you have to get over and then you can finally be an adult. Like, oh, now that that's over, I can finally be who I'm meant to be. And now we're going to forget about all that childish stuff and move on into, real responsibility and start really living. It's that kind of idea. Like when you turn 18, you magically just forget all the things of childhood, all the whimsical and fanciful things of childhood, and now it's time to buckle down and get serious, And, and it really doesn't work that way, because you never really stop being that child. You always are going to have those interests and those passions and those intuitions that visited you when you were a kid. They're always going to be informing everything you do in your adult life. And I feel that this is why childhood is the initial state. We start off in childhood and then we grow into an adult. Because childhood is not a mistake. It's not something to be covered over or something to be ashamed of. Those are glorious days in all their wildness and unpredictability and our seeming naivete. That time of childhood is meant to be integrated into our adult experience. It's meant to accentuate and to complement our adult selves. Because you could say a child is just a small adult and an adult is maybe just a big child. And another thing too, is that when we do try very hard to forget childhood and to kind of shuffle all that away and sweep it under the rug, moving on now, it's time to be responsible, we actually end up being quite childish. We are prone to throw tantrums and to cry when we don't get the things that we want and lament our circumstances when they're not, fulfill our projections. And it's all because you can't really ever get rid of the child, the inner child, the child you once were, the child that you still are, because it is your foundation. You grow up as a child. And it's really the only really healthy way to be a responsible adult is to give space for your inner child and to integrate your inner child and not try to shuffle it away, not try to pack it up in a box and put it in the attic, but to allow those wonders and those feelings of passion and exuberance, to let those things continue in your life. They give you space and confidence and energy for really wonderful things that you could only have dreamt of when you were a child. But now, with your increased intelligence and hopefully increased sensitivity to life as well, as you grow older, as you grow wiser also, then the things of childhood can take on a much more self-sustaining quality. You have the ability to bring your dreams into reality and to share your musings and your creativity and your joy as well with others. And this is, this is a part of embracing your inner child, in big part due to embracing your inner child. Because it's that time of innocence, and that time where everything is wondrous and everything is maybe simpler and yet full of possibilities at the same time. And that's really not a quality that life in itself ever loses. It's more just something that if we seem to lose a sense of it in our own life, it's more because we kind of close the door to it. But by embracing who you really are, then you have to embrace your inner child as well. You have to embrace your roots. You have to embrace the things that you like. And those things that you like, they may take different forms, of course. Your expressions become more refined. They become more articulate. They become maybe wiser and broader in their scope. Because your understanding has evolved. Your understanding has widened as you've grown older. But that doesn't mean that the root of it, that initial spark of exuberance and childlike wonder, creativity, joy, and also love, for just unconditional love as well. One of perhaps the most noble qualities that children possess is an ability to just love without boundaries and to love without borders. This is all here to facilitate your growth as an adult. In fact, I don't believe we can have a conscientious society and be conscientious people without these qualities that children exhibit nearly effortlessly. It's just so natural for a child to be open to love and to life. It's just the easiest thing. And it's funny, as I grow older, I realize how no matter how much I thought I would change and how much I thought I had done wrong, or how much I thought I had just grown away from all that, I realized that all of those qualities that I exhibited in childhood were still very much alive. In fact, they're like the perennial spring. They're always waiting just beneath the soil, waiting to bloom with the right conditions. As soon as the light of maybe self-introspection, of the desire to look into myself, as soon as I shine light into these darkened corners, where maybe I took some of these older things that I used to love and kind of tucked them away into the basement, or so to speak, or tucked them away into the attic, or put them out in the shed, as we tend to do with our physical things of childhood. We also tend to do that with the more unseen things of childhood, the feelings and the memories and the qualities of our former selves. And we tuck them away into these neat little compartments somewhere inside of our being. But then we shine light upon them, and like the light of the sun upon winter soil, come spring, things start to bloom. You start to see green things grow again in places that perhaps you hadn't seen growth for a number of years. So it's always there. You never need to despair or feel that you've lost out, because everything that made childhood so wondrous, and just the quality of being a child, even if your childhood was hard,
wherever you go,
because everybody has a different childhood, but even in those moments where you were really allowed to be a child and you really felt those moments of wonder and awe, I'm sure everybody has had them, no matter what. There must have been at least a few moments where you remember feeling the inexorable essence of this mystery, and just wondering about it as only a child could. I'm sure we've all had those times, because I know, embracing who I used to be, I realize that I really still am that, just more so. Whimsical and wild and free, but also with an elevated sense of wisdom that perhaps I wasn't able to articulate in the past. So there's really nothing wrong with embracing the inner child. In fact, you embrace the inner child and come to find that it's not really just something inside of you, it's who you actually are. You're embracing yourself. You're embracing life. You're embracing the mystery. Because, it does come back to that understanding that there is a reason why we start off as children. It's the very foundation for everything we come to experience. And it is worth embracing, just the same way you are worth embracing.